Romans chapter 12, verse 1. It reads in the New Living Translation as such. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God, because of all he has done for you. For all that he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind that he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Verse 2. Don't copy the behaviors and the customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will. Everybody's asking, what's his will for me? Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, his will is good for you, and pleasant, his will is pleasant for you, and perfect. God has a perfect plan for you. Verse 3, because of the privilege and the authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. The apostle's talking to this church, and he said, I give you a warning. Don't think you are better than you really are. Turn to your neighbor and say, get over yourself. Be honest in your evaluation of yourself. Measuring yourself by the faith God has given us. The way you are able to measure yourself is by the faith that you have in the situation. You might think you're good, but your faith in the situation is what determines that. Just as our bodies have many parts, and each part has a special function, so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. I'm not going to deal with the whole 5 verses, but I wanted to give you a context for today's message. Turn to your neighbor and say, hey neighbor. Hey neighbor. Y'all talking like y'all in the library, but this happens to be a church. So find somebody totally different and say, hey neighbor.
Hey neighbor.
Don't
Conform.
Now that you know what we're going to say, find somebody way across the room and say, hey neighbor.
Hey neighbor.
Don't conform.
Conform.
Romans chapter 12 verse 1 opens up with a very unique statement. It says that we must begin to present our bodies. We must begin to give our bodies. And so sometimes what we want to do is we want to live life according to our own way. But there is a way that God has inspired and desired for us to live. Now I want to really deal today with the thought of conforming, the thought of turning into an image, because there are 2 images ultimately that you can turn into. You can turn into the image of this world, which looks like Satan, or you can conform into the image of our God. And it's interesting that I said that we can turn into the image of our God, the God that we've never seen, but we can turn into that image. And how can I begin to look like God? I can look like God in my actions, in the very things that I do, in the things that I say, watch it, in the things that I watch, in the things that I listen to. I can begin to now image forth God. And so the devil, I know some of you don't think he's real. You say, okay, as long as I think positively that nothing's going to happen. But there is an enemy to you. There is a devil. There is him and his kingdom and his demons. And he has one assignment. God, he has one desire. And that desire is to make you conform. He wants you to now look like everything else around you. He wants you to now look like that you're less than. He wants you to look like you'll never be anything. He wants you to look like what people have said about you. He wants you to conform. And when you conform, what you start to do is you start to look like secular things. Oh my God. Let me help you out with that, because there is a way of God, and then everything outside of that way is secular. Okay? Y'all haven't heard the word before, so let me give you the definition. Secular. And so we must fight against this secular spirit. But secularism, It's a system of doctrines, their beliefs about God. That's what the word doctrine means. It's a system of doctrines. It's a system of beliefs and practices that disregard or reject any form of religious faith and worship. And if you look at our world now, that's all it is. They're trying to get us to reject the one who died for us. They're trying to get us to reject the one who has waken us up this morning and started us on. It's trying to get us to reject. Even in the schools, they took out prayer because they want us to reject. And so when I come to church, I can't play on the phone because I understand there's a system around me that is working to make me forget about God.
Yes.
It's trying to make me forget about God. So I'm not updating my Facebook status in church. Why? Because I understand that it's something trying to take my attention. The war that's going on in your mind, the war that's going on over your life is not good and evil. Not just that, but it's about your attention. What the enemy wants is more attention to him and his devices than you give to God. And so if we be honest and we had a scale today and we put our hours of TV and our hours of social media, I'm getting ahead of myself, on one side, and then our prayer, our dedication, our time going to church on the other side, we'll notice, if we're being honest about ourselves, that on this side we have more weight because all of the things that have taken our attention have been secular. It's been things that have been called to separate us from God. Secularism, its primary objective is to totally eliminate, somebody say eliminate, it's to totally get us to eliminate religious elements from our society. So this looks like in our day and age where we get rid of the 10 Commandments outside of the government building because we're trying to erase religion. This looks like us taking prayer out of school because we're trying to erase religion. This looks like you can't talk about religion at work. Why? Because we're trying to erase. Because people truly believe that there would be a better society without a religion. People truly believe that all religion does is start wars. But the truth of the matter is there is a religion that is pure to God, and that's the religion that we're trying to promote. That's the religion that I'm a part of. That's the religion that I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about a pure religion that lifts up Jesus. And we have to, people of God, get back to the place where we reclaim our focus. Yeah, we're still in the year of reclaiming, where we reclaim our household, where we reclaim our children, where we reclaim the things that were once ours, but we let secularism sneak in. The Bible says that there were some things that crept in unaware. And if we be not careful, then we will find out that we are secular. We are secular. We are not a part of this kingdom of God. We're not a part of this thing that God talks about in the Bible, but we're on the outside. We're on the outskirts. So we must fight secularism. The battle that has been going on for ages is trying to get us to buy into materialistic things, but not spiritual things. Y'all not hearing me? It's trying to get us to focus more on money than in family. It's trying to get us to care more about positions than people. It's trying to get us to care more about greed than God. And so we have to now begin to fight against this secularistic spirit that is coming into us and say, I gotta work overtime or God's not going to make a way. No, God can make a way even without the job. And so we must get to the place, I feel like yelling today, we must get to the place where we say, I am dismissing myself from the secularism. I am separating myself. I'm being holy. I understand what my friends are doing. I understand what the world is doing, but I will not be a part. I will not be a part. I know y'all smoke weed and then go to church. I know y'all had sex last night and then still try to lift up your hands before the Lord, but I will not be a part. I will not be a part of it. And so you must take a stand. I feel like preaching in your daily life where you say, I know y'all drinking liquor over there, but I don't believe it's right, so I won't be a part. And so anything that you hang out with, let me help you here. It's not in my notes, but it's pretty good to say that anything that you condone, you believe. Let me help you out with that. Anything that you condone, you believe. And so I remember at work, this boy said, I feel like rolling up. You won't roll up in this car. I don't care if I don't do it, you won't do it, because this car belongs to me. And anything that I allow, I condone. And I I do not condone that in my presence or around me.
Right.
Yeah, see, you have to begin to take authority over your sphere. What's your sphere? It's the space around you. God, I need somebody to update their Facebook status. I'm taking authority of my sphere. I'm taking authority of the space around me. Why am I taking authority of the space around me? Because that's what I control. I might not be able to control what you do. I may not be able to control what happens tomorrow, but I'm able to control what happens around me. And as long as I'm here, that won't happen. As long as I'm here, there are certain things that I will stand against, people of God. There are certain things that I will not allow to happen. And if you are a Christian, this is your daily life. There are some things that you will not say in front of me. There are some things you will not do in front of me. And if you attempt to, I will now stand in the defensive position. Come on here. And I will let you know that I disagree. I will let you know that you're wrong. I will let you know that there is a God. I don't care how many people have tried to disprove him. I don't care what science says. But I want you to understand there is a God. And how do I know there is a God? Because he changed me. Yeah, I am his greatest testimony. I am his greatest miracle. Oh my God, y'all ain't talking back to me. I am his greatest example. So if you don't ever believe the book, if you don't ever read the Bible, I am his example.
Yes.
And science does prove him, and reasoning does prove him. But if you can't point to science, and if you can't see it in reasoning, if your mind doesn't work with logic, guess what? Look at me. Look at me. Yeah. I'm talking about suicidal, but now I'm saved. Come on here. Look at me. All right. Let's move on before I get carried away. And so we've been hypnotized by our television. We've been hypnotized by our social media. We've been hypnotized by self-deception. And so now we're buying into the devil's lie. We're buying into secularism. And I come to tell you that you are secular every time you give something more attention than you give it to God. Yeah. I know you feel like I'm trying. I know you feel like that as long as I pray in the morning, I'm good. But you mean to tell me that you did not talk to God the rest of the day? You talk to Boo Boo and Bay longer than that, but you will not talk to God but once a day? I pray every day. Well, that's not enough if it's not moving your situation. That's not enough if it's not changing things around you. That's not enough if God has not answered you. God. See, let me help y'all out with this. And then I'm gonna close this message today, and we're gonna try it again next week. But when you fully understand that God is the one who we get our characteristics from, right? So if someone texts you just once a day, and when they want something at that, would you text them back? No, because I want you to talk to me other times than when you need something, other times than when you want something. And so imagine how God feels when only time you talk to him is, God, get me out of the debt that I got myself into. Get me out of the trouble that I got myself into. You told me don't go there. You told me don't talk to him, but I dated him anyway. Now God get me out. And he's able to, but guess what? He's not going to do it on your time.
Amen.
Why? Why is he not going to do it on my time? I'm a child of God. Well, he's not going to do it on your time because he's not the one who got you into it. I'm talking about Romans chapter 12. And so we're dealing with, people of God, in this day and this age, a secular spirit. We're dealing with a secular spirit. We live in a secular world. We live in a world where we're afraid to deal with all that's going on. We live in a world, Will, where we're afraid to not watch what everyone else is watching. Let me help you out with this secular thing before I end this part of my message. But when we watch sci-fi movies with abandoned buildings known as churches, with no one going to the church anymore, and they're just running throughout the church, and it looks vacant and empty, that's secular. They're trying to erase the image of God in our lives. They're trying to present to us a prophetic picture. What are you talking about, prophet? Sci-fi movies are supposed to be futuristic. And so what they're trying to show you that there will be no church in the future. And I come to announce that it is secular. And as long as I live, I'm going to make sure that there is a church. Why? Because God instituted it. And you have to have that same spirit. I'm not going to watch I Am Legend 1,000 times and notice that they, oh my God, will not acknowledge that there is a church. I'm not going to continue to listen to music that will not acknowledge my God. And so I begin to now look at this word a little more. And I said, the only time I heard in church about secular, we talk about secular music. If you're from the old church, they're like, don't listen to no secular music. However, music that promotes sex but not marriage, it hides marriage. It's secular. And so we have to begin to understand that there's a secular spirit in our movies. There's a secular spirit in our music. And then sermons that don't point to Jesus, but they point to a better life. They point to how you are able to smile. They point to just smile your way through it. They are secular.
Walking heavy down.
We live in this secular word, but watch it. It says, don't copy the behaviors and the customs of this world. Hold on, wait. Don't copy the actions, the behaviors, the things that they do. So while everybody else is doing it, I'm not doing it.
Talk about it.
But not just the behaviors, but then the customs. That's the practices. That's the things that they do. So while everybody else is doing yoga, I'm not. Why am I not doing it? Because that's a custom of the world. That's secular. And so we have to begin to now separate the secular from the sanctified. The sanctified, that word means separated for God. And so when we understand that there has to be a clear distinction between that of the world and, God, yes, Father, I hear you, and that of God, then we begin to say, okay, this is wrong. Oh, God, y'all not hearing me, but it's okay. Because what we don't do is, what we don't understand is in this day, in this age, what the enemy's trying to do is blur the line. So we got Christians getting tattoos. Y'all don't, I know I look new school, but I'm still old school. So what we got now is we got people doing everything they seen on BET, MTV, VH1.
Right.
I lost my church. And so what we want to do is we want to get 10 and 12 piercings. Yeah, not understanding the origin of some of them.
Right.
We want to sit our kids in front of TVs that are promoting homosexual images. Y'all not talking to me now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that Disney Channel,
Yeah.
And you got the kids twerking and twisting. And so what happens is, now you got that raising your child, and then your child's wrist is banned, you wondering why. Okay. And then you, God, just cover them, God deliver them. And God saying, I had the opportunity to save their whole life, but you didn't want to parent them. You were scared to talk back to your child. You were scared to tell them to stop. All right, let's do it. But I know y'all thought I skipped it, but I did. Verse 1, if you King James, it says, present your body a living sacrifice. I think in King James, but we read in the Living Translation. So let me read it to you again, and I'm closing with this. Verse 1, I started off in verse 2, and that's where we get the thought from, do not conform. But verse 1, he says something very interesting and very simple. He says, I plead with you to give your body to God. Your body belongs to God. Y'all didn't hear me. I said your body belongs to God. And since your body is not your own, you cannot be pro-choice. I know y'all don't like me today. Since your body is not your own, you cannot do whatever you want with it. Because your body is not your own, you have to consult God. You have to consult God before you do anything with your body. Okay, we got some kids in here, so I'm going to be good. But he has a purpose for your pee.
Okay.
I'll let that sink in. I'll let that sink in.
Right,
He's got a purpose for it. He's got a purpose for every part of your body. Yeah. And so what you do with your body has to be now approved by God. Y'all not talking. So you go into services. I know it's church, but you go into services that he didn't tell you to go to. You've been going to houses that he told you not to go to. It's not about whether playing cards was a sin or not. It's about did he tell you to go? Yeah. See, the only way you can hear God on a daily basis is with a relationship. So you about to make the mistake of a lifetime because you about to date somebody you didn't even consult God. Y'all not hearing me. And you're about to have years wasted of your, I'm in your front seat right now. And you have years of your life that are about to be wasted. The prophet comes beforehand. You have years of your life that's about to be wasted. Why? Because you have not consulted God. And I'm willing to say we cannot go on a date until I talk to God. We cannot touch until I talk to God because I need to know what God's saying about you, me, and us.
Yes. Right.
Okay, yeah. Listen good, you help. This is what I help your children. I know you think your children are slow, but they can pay attention. Yes, they can. Because they can get something from this message. And so we have to understand that we must give our body. Hold up, wait. What was that word I just said? We must give our body. So God's not taking our body, but we must say, God, here am I. We must give our body. And we must give it, watch this, not just any old way. He does not want your broken, beat down self. But what he wants is the one that is yielded to him. Y'all not talking. He wants the one that says, God, whatever you say, I'll do. Y'all not talking. He wants the body that'll say, God, I'll just sit in the passenger seat and you take the wheel. You drive. You do what it is that you need to be done. If you want me to preach, I'll preach. If you want me to pray, I'll pray. Matter of fact, how long do you want me to pray? I'll do what you say. All you have to do is use my body. Why? Because I'm available. I understand that what God is looking for in this day, what God is looking for in this age is a body. God is a spirit, and them that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Watch it. God is a spirit, and so he does not have a body. That was the whole point of Jesus. And so now that he does not have a body, Jesus' body is gone, and now he's looking for another body. He's looking for somebody. And will you be the one that he's looking for? Will you be the one that gives your body? And you have to give it in a certain way. You have to give it in a holy way. Yeah, I know that's a cuss word nowadays, but you have to be holy. Okay, y'all don't know what that means, but let me help you. You must be without the effects of this secular world. You must be without the conditions of this world. You must now begin to separate that which does not please God from that which does please God, and that which does not please God, you must throw it away. You must discard it, because that which does not please God is going to stop you from being holy. Yeah. So he says, I need you to give your bodies. The apostle is talking to the church, just like this prophet is talking to the church. And he is saying, I need you. I'm pleading with you. I am begging you, Ricky, to give your body to God. If some of us be honest, we've given our body to other people. We've given our body to other institutions. Y'all not talking to me now. I'm too real for you. We've given our body to other things. Yeah. But now God's saying, I want you to give your body to me. Yeah. I want you to begin to now give me your body. And as you give me your body, I'll accept it as a sacrifice. I will accept it like a sacrifice. But it has to be holy. And if it is holy, then it is acceptable. We understand in Genesis when we dealt with Cain and Abel, we seen there that there are two types of offerings. There are two types of offerings. There is an offering that is not acceptable, and then there is an offering that is acceptable. And so, just because you say, God, here am I, does not mean that it's going to be an acceptable offering. It's acceptable when you say, oh God, here am I, and I'm willing to give you this. I'm willing to give up this. I'm willing to stop doing this. I'm willing to stop talking to this person. Why? Because I want to be what you desire. Yeah. Now, if y'all be real with me for the next 2 seconds, all of us have things that we actually desire. We have a type. And so God's type is holy, And God's type is righteous. And what righteous just means is that you're willing to be in right standing with God. And so God's type, is the type of person that will not play hard to get, but will say, God, whatever you want, you got it. Take it. Do it. And so this is the level of submission that God's talking about. When God gives a command, whether it be through the prophet or to you directly, you just obey. Oh God, y'all don't hear me. So when God says that we're having service, that means that we're going to be on time. Why? Because God spoke it through the man of God. Y'all not talking to me. And so I don't call the man of God by his first name. Why? Because I want to make sure I respect what God calls him. And so if God calls him prophet, who am I to say anything differently? I call him prophet. Right. Okay? And so he wants our body. He wants our eyes until we start seeing people, I'm done, the way God sees them. He wants our mouth until we speak. What if you could now replace every time you felt like cussing with a scripture? He wants your mouth, people of God. He wants your eyes, he wants your mouth, but then he also wants your ears. If you keep allowing secular music into your ears, you're going to now begin to think secularly. Yeah, I'm talking about that music that separates us from God. I'm talking about those YouTube videos where they're teaching that the black man is God. I want you to understand that the more you listen to those things, what's happening is the enemy is setting up camp in your mind, and he's causing you to be separated from God. I'm done playing softly. And so, God is saying today, plain and simple, do not, I say, conform. Do not change into the image of what you see around you. Why? Because I made you an original. I made you in such a way that you are able to reach and to do what I tell you to do. And you cannot do it in the image of another. Hear me. Church has a culture. Let's not conform to that. The world has a culture. Let's not conform to that. Let's begin to now be transformed by the renewing of our minds, by the focusing of our mind on Jesus. Let this mind that was in Jesus Christ, our God, be in us. Begin to now change your ways. I'm talking about, don't look to Dr. Phil for advice before you look to the Bible. Don't you dare text another friend, another family member, I don't care if it's mom or dad, before we pick up the word. This is not just to sit on a coffee table. This is not a pop of a coin. But what this is the answer to whatever situation you're going through. He says, I want you to give me what I want. I desire your body. Please understand, God created the earth because he wanted to. God created the heavens because he wanted to. God created time because he wanted to. God even created you because he wanted to. Watch me, Denise. But what God said was, after I created you, I want you. The God who has everything, if he thinks it can come into existence. Still, out of the 7 or 8 billion people on the planet, wants you. He wants you with your flaws. He wants you with your inconsistencies. He wants you, but he wants a sacrificed version of you. He wants the version of you that won't fight with his word. But once you understand it, not once you read it, make sure you understand it, but once you understand it, you begin to make changes. Okay, I know what we used to do, but we ain't going to do that no more because I understand now that that's wrong. And since I understand that it's wrong, I want to line up with God, because if I'm not holy, he won't accept me. The Bible says without holiness, you can't see the Lord. On that day that he comes back for us, on that day known as Judgment Day, you cannot see the Lord doing it your way. This is my favorite thing, Brianna. I just feel that, I just know that, but you haven't studied. Because if you study, you would know God doesn't act like that. The people who just got these feelings are the people who are some of the worst. Because because they're opposing God. I just feel that it's right. And we keep saying, I feel, that our feelings are leading us to a place where we're distant, hear me, from God. And then we look up and say, God promised me some things at 10 years old, and I'm 30 and still haven't accomplished them. God said I'd be married by then. The prophet must have lied, but no. If you look at some of your actions, some of the things you conform to, you wanted pink hair because everybody else got pink hair. You conform. You've been looking at images of Nikki and Kim, and so you've been trying to conform. I'm done. And God is calling you today to stop trying. I know that you want a grill with diamonds, but listen, don't conform. There is a desire that God has for you, and you have to begin to accept it. God, I'll completely say yes. If today this word has reached you and you're saying, okay, I need today to be a new day in my life, whether you say it or not, I need you to stand to your feet. Today it marks the beginning of my obedience to God. Today marks the beginning of me giving my body, myself, completely and totally to God. Today is the beginning of me not doing things the way I think, I feel they should be done. But today I begin to now open the book of life and say, God, how do you want me to do it? If you're part of GAC, I need you to repeat after me. If you're not, you are more than welcome to. But GAC, we begin to get saved again today. Amen. I need you to say, Dear Lord.
Dear Lord.
I need everybody saying it. Make sure your children saying it. Say, Dear Lord.
Dear Lord.
I know that I'm a sinner. And I need your forgiveness. I believe that Jesus Christ died in my place to pay the penalty for my sins. And that he rose from the dead. I now invite Jesus to come into my life as my Savior. Thank you for making me your child. Help me to please you in every way in my life. In Jesus' name. Amen. Come on and clap your hands for your salvation. The Bible says in Romans chapter 10 that confession is made to salvation. You're saved now. But the way that we start this is we have to turn to someone and tell them, I'm saved. Make sure they tell it to you back. Turn to somebody and say, I'm saved. I'm saved. Make sure they say it back. I'm saved. Yeah. And so whether you were saved before this moment or not, now the angels are rejoicing. Because we as the church are 100% saved. All right, let me not go down that road because I get happy. But today God was dealing with me. He says, no. We got to go back before we go forward. Before we grow, he says we have to downsize. Because everybody who is going to play a part in this ministry has to be saved. We sometimes put emphasis on speaking in tongues, dancing, giving money, but before you do any of that, did you give your life and your body to God? So remember these words today. I'm done. But understand you cannot conform. So when you get that text message at 10 and they say we going out, you might have to interview and ask some questions like, hey, well, what we doing now? Where are we going? Because I can't just go anywhere. Why? Why can't you? Your man won't let you. You're right. Jesus